Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them.
Welcome, and thank you for joining the Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV. I'm Yvette Walker, live, blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, serving a population of over 25 million. Get us crystal clear and on demand by downloading the free KMET live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. A huge shout out to the team, Mitch, Bill, and Sean, thank you. And to our special advisory committee, Bill Morris of UCI School of Business, Diane Cavallo, and Camila Rubio, thank you all so much. Don't forget to check out the Jay Kaplan Show, also on KMET on Fridays at 3. So today I am going to be introducing an amazing guest that focuses on one of the most important elements of life itself, one of the basic elements. Many have called it liquid gold. Many have searched for it in outer space, and that is the element of water. Today, we have Luis Cethina. He is the Vice President of Cucamonga Valley Water District. Luis Cethina is a principal governmental and regional affairs representative for the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, where he has been employed since 1986. In his capacity at MWD, Director Cethina promotes water policy among government, chambers of commerce, and economic partnerships. His experience at MWD includes survey work, construction plan review, water supply forecasting, and legislative and policy analysis. Director Cethina earned his Bachelor of Science degree in civil engineering with an emphasis on the environment from the California State Polytechnic University of Pomona. Director Cethina and his wife reside in Alta Loma with their 6 children, where he is active with his church and youth soccer league. Thank you so much for joining us, Luis.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me as well, Yvette. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Wonderful. Well, one of my favorite parts of the program is talking about our guests' past. Can you please share with our audience how it is that you grew this love of water and have invested your life's work dedicated to water, the delivery of water, the infrastructure of water? I mean, all things water. Please share that with us today.
Well, definitely, and thank you for that opportunity. As you said, I graduated from Cal Poly Pomona in 1984 in engineering, and at that age, at that time, I discovered an interest in water. I was very fortunate to secure employment with the Metropolitan Water District, which is the largest wholesaler of water in the nation, which is really critical to Southern California. Without Metropolitan, there is no Southern California, and without no Southern California, there isn't this economy, this robust economy that we have in the state of California as well. And then over the time years, I've worked in numerous departments. And then I decided to get involved more on a local level, and I decided to run for office. And I became, almost 10 years ago, I was elected to the Cucamonga Valley Water District, where I'm speaking to you from today, and I am vice president of the board. I have the privilege, the ratepayers who live in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, portions of Fontana, portions of Upland, Ontario, and some of the unincorporated areas in the mountain region of the county of San Bernardino have selected me to represent them along with 4 other colleagues. And we take this responsibility quite seriously. It's about 200,000 residents. And so here at the Cucamonga Valley Water District, I've had the great opportunity of serving in a myriad of capacities on a regional levels, Aqua Association, Aqua Region 9. I chair the Chino Basin Water Bank. I also get the opportunity to be on the Chamber of Commerce and some other responsibilities that are dear to my heart, a homeless shelter called Foothill Family Shelter for families with children.
Wonderful, terrific organization, huge supporter here as well. So with that said, let's talk about Cucamonga Valley Water District and how does it relate to our regional water agencies? Please expand on that and educate us on how it all is correlated.
Thank you for the opportunity, because Cucamonga, it was formed in 1955. And like I said earlier, we've got about 200,000 residents that we service. Where is Cucamonga? It's like I said, it's in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, portions of Fontana, Upland, and Ontario. But it's critical because it's western San Bernardino County. And so it's a rich important part of the county from a tax base, right, from a quality of life perspective. So what we do at Cucamonga is critical to ensure that business continues in this region. Cucamonga, like I said, is a special district, and special districts are critical because we only put out the revenue that we generate from the sale of water, and all that money goes right back into the service. Cucamonga, we pride ourselves in having high quality water, one of the most affordable water rates in the entire region. And we do this collectively through a team of employees and board members that make a decision. But I think the key thing that I like to emphasize about Cucamonga, it's this responsibility that it has to look at its service, not only for that cities that it services, but from a regional perspective. We also look at ourselves as a participant in a regional effort. You know, Yvette, if you don't have reliable gas, if you don't have reliable electricity, and you don't have reliable water supply, you're not going to have investments from major corporations. And San Bernardino County is the fastest growing county in our state, and it's actually the largest county in the nation. And so we have a big responsibility here at the Cucamonga Valley Water District to work cooperatively with our partners, our neighboring agencies, to ensure that if anybody wants to anchor in our region, we have reliable, high quality, cost-effective water for them to do that so we can maintain jobs.
That is exactly right. So can you please expand on what makes Rancho Cucamonga, what makes it fall under the category of a special district?
Well, special district is a district that has the representatives are elected at large by the ratepayers. Who are the ratepayers? The residents. They own this district. And normally from a water service perspective, you're going to get a private purveyor, a special district, or a municipality that purveys the water. A special district is very special, and I know that I've used that word a couple of times, but it is very special because the whole concept of special districts were created in the state of California that initiated over 100 years ago on a focus of providing service of water. Now we have additional special districts for parks, cemeteries, hospitals, and so forth, airports, and so forth, and so on. And like I said before, they're usually governed by an elected body, and the revenue that's generated is just for that specific purpose, so that it provides optimal, efficient service. And so that's why Cucamonga is really critical in what its responsibilities are, and it does a tremendous job.
Wow, thank you so much. So let's talk about the network. Let's talk about how you're able to streamline and efficiently deliver water to our region and surrounding communities.
Well, what we do is we partner, right? We belong to a group of water agencies in the western San Bernardino County that is overseen by the Inland Empire Utility Agencies that is part of the Metropolitan Water District. And so, years ago, you had cities that were separated from distance of fields and so forth. Nowadays, the lines have blurred. You don't know really when you go from one city to the other. So the infrastructure that's connecting these two cities, right, and as well as the groundwater that's in these cities, now they blend it, so to speak, right? So if I'm pumping water in Cucamonga Valley Water District service area, and someone else is pumping water in Fontana, those two activities will impact one another. So the Cucamonga Valley Water District is part of something that's called the Chino Basin Water Master. It's an overlying entity that oversees all the activities in this region to make sure that everyone's activities don't impact the other. And so we, from that example of working cooperatively, we also look to the future in terms of working with adjacent agencies. We happen to be very fortunate to have one of the top treatment plants here in our cities called the Lloyd Michael Treatment Plant. And we are looking at opportunities to partner with other agencies south of us, Kurupa Community Service District, in the future so that we could sell them or transport some of their water supplies that are be treated at our plant down to them. And so this is why Cucamonga, in terms of looking at it from a regional perspective, is critically important. We've got tremendous resources, collective resources that we've managed efficiently, and we believe that it's our duty and our responsibility to work with the adjacent partners or communities, so to speak, and that they have reliable supply as well. If we're just the only reliable entity in the region and the surrounding region isn't, it isn't going to create a good future for the entire West San Bernardino County, right? So we all have to thrive equally and move forward together.
I love that you have created this opportunity to streamline and collaborate with the surrounding communities, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's going to benefit the entire region if we can, work together. So let's talk about the network of basins that you work alongside with and how it is you work with them. It's a very intricate dynamic because it is water, it's free flowing, and the infrastructure, I can only imagine, is remarkable. So please talk about how that network of basins you work with.
Well, I appreciate that opportunity. I'll tell you why, because Cucamonga is privileged to have two groundwater basins. One of them is called Cucamonga Basin, and we share that with San Antonio Heights, which is a community in Upland, as well as the city of Upland. And then the other basin is called the Chino Basin, which I said earlier is administered by the Chino Basin Water Master, and we're a participant of that. And so, like I said, those basins are monitored to ensure that there's equal access, anybody's activity doesn't impact the other from a quality perspective or operational perspective. And I'll tell you this much: I have the good fortune of chairing the Joint Powers Authority, which we call the Chino Basin Water Bank. It's a thought idea that we're putting forth an idea similar to examples that have been done in other parts of the state, in that we create a groundwater basin bank. We know we've analyzed the potential amount of water that we could put in the Chino Basin through an analysis, and there's additional 30% available that we could put water in, not necessarily our own water, but water that someone else in the state of California or another entity within Southern California could park, so to speak, if I could use that term. Why? Why is that important? Well, we all know that it's very difficult in the state of California to build a reservoir. We have been trying for years to build a series of reservoirs in the state of California. And for a myriad of reasons, we haven't been able to realize that. Fortunately, the Metropolitan Water District built Diamond Valley Lake in Southern California a couple of years ago. And many of us are able to build above storage tanks. But the amount of water that we need in Southern California to maintain this economy is a lot more. It's tenfold, 100-fold than what a tank would hold. So the basin that we have here has the potential of storing up to 300,000 acre-feet of water. That's a number that we use. And just to give you an example, the city of Rancho Cucamonga will use 40,000 acre-feet of water annually. So you can do the math. It's about 7 times more of the water that you could use. So here's a storage available space. You don't have to build a reservoir. We still believe that we need reservoirs, but it's going to take time to do it. But we have the capacity to put water into the ground at a fee, a charge, to those who want to park it there or store it there, and then provide them with that water when they need it. Just like a savings account that you may have at home. You want to save some money, and when you need it, no pun intended. Well, maybe yes, pun intended on this, on a rainy day, you got to take the money out. Right? Why is that important? Because that ensures reliability, and that improves the quality of water, and that we reduce the cost of pumping water. All of these components are critical if we're going to have a thriving economy in this region. Like I said before, major corporations will not anchor if they don't have reliable utility. In addition to that, the state of California is having to deal with the crisis in terms of lack of housing. I need to come up with water supply, because without water, you can't build homes. And if you can't build homes, you're not going to address the housing crisis. And so we're coming up with creative ideas to offer people the opportunity, or agencies the opportunity, to bring water down to the western San Bernardino County Chino Basin region, put water in the ground here, that we work cooperative with them, and this will help our ratepayers as well as them. So that's a perfect example on how we're thinking outside the box, because unfortunately we're waiting a long time for things to be realized on the state level.
Right. No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So in Southern California, parking is always an issue, but I have never heard parking in relation to water or water distribution or water infrastructure. How was this idea conceived, and where is this idea in its vision process, or in the development process?
But we're mirroring this effort similar to similar efforts that have been done throughout the state in areas called Arvin Edison, semi-tropic, up in Northern California by the Delta region as well. And so this has been done before. It's not that we're reinventing the wheel. It's just a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, making sure that all the participants are aware of what we're doing. And these are the phases that we're in, right? We initiated the process with the conceptual idea, bringing on all the regional participants to see if it's feasible. We did an analysis as to the availability of space. And then we're in a process right now, the next phase, and we actually secured a grant from the federal government, from the Bureau of Reclamation on this effort, because the federal government is always looking for opportunities, support opportunities where communities are working collaboratively in efforts similar to efforts to this. And so we're in that process of securing that grant. It's been approved. It's just a matter of us following through on certain process. What's the next phase? The next phase for us, in terms of all the participants, is to identify possible facilities that we may need. And these may be facilities that we can share. But at the end of the day, I want you to envision this. The opportunity to put water in our basin that will not harm our basin. It would only enhance our basin and provide additional revenue for all the agencies in the area. Why? We would be able to control and maintain costs, and it would enhance quality. If you put more water into the ground, you're gonna enhance the quality of that water. Always remember that you got to put the quality water into it. And so these are ideas that we're conceptualizing, and hopefully we've been working on this for about 2 to 3 years, and hopefully in the next 2 years we can realize this objective. We can ink the agreement and move forward on it.
Can you expand a little bit on those stakeholders and identify who and what organizations they are in order to move this project forward?
Well, we've got the water master, who is an adjudicated basin overseer by the state courts, who's going to be part of that decision-making process. Us, Cucamonga Valley Water District, Monte Vista Water District, the City of Ontario, and these are some of the participants that we have in place to work on this effort. And so we're all working collectively, and we want to make sure that all the other players in the region even have an opportunity to put water into the ground as well. It's their basin. We're just coming forward with the idea and see if we can come up with a collective idea that is welcoming to all of them and a benefit to all of them.
That's amazing. So let's talk about the Regional Recycle Project and the concept behind it.
Yeah, I think you've heard the good news. The Metropolitan Water District is embarking on an effort to recycle water at a higher grade, so to speak, right? Higher quality water in the city of Carson. This has been done in other parts as well. It's been done in Orange County. We currently have recycled water, we do. But that recycled water has limitations with regards to the amount that we can reintroduce back into the ground. It has to be treated to a certain level. And so what we want to do through an effort that IUA, the Inland Empire Utility Agency, is embarking, and we're part of that along with others, we want to conceptualize the idea of having a high quality recycled water plant here in the western region of San Bernardino County, that would allow us to treat recycled water to the next level and then reintroduce that water into the groundwater basin with a faster ability to pump it back out to use it. Why is that important? Well, we know that over the course of time, climate has been changing. And we also know that over the course of time, we haven't been able to realize a series of infrastructure projects on the state level. The Sites Reservoir, a major reservoir in Northern California, and we've all heard about the conveyance facility, twin tunnels, single tunnels. That's changed. It was a twin tunnel with Governor Brown, a single tunnel with Governor Newsom. That whole idea and that entire concept originated back in the 80s with the Peripheral Canal. And here we are still talking about it. The Sites Reservoir has been a consideration for many years, and we're still talking about it. But we have a responsibility to ensure that we provide water supply, reliable water supply, to our ratepayers here, now. Not 10 years from now, but now. So as responsible policymakers, we have to do whatever we can in the interim. And this is why we're looking at and exploring this idea, similar to what the Metropolitan Water District is doing, to build a recycled water treatment plant that will take recycled water to the next level, so to speak, so that we can put it back into use. It's important and it's critical because at some point in time, we've got to accept the reality that we just can't rely on the decision making in the state. It hasn't panned through. It hasn't come to fruition for the last 10, 15 years. And so we're going to try to do everything possible to make sure that the quality of life in this part of our county, this region, this part of the county is critical to the economic vitality of Southern California. Think of all the resources that we have here.
Absolutely.
Ontario Airport, the hospitals, the universities, right? All the homes, it's critical. And without water, where would it be? Without utilities, right? Electric, gas, where would it be? That's why utility is critical from a reliability perspective. And that's what we're working on. We can't wait. We have to do the responsible thing, the mature thing, and address it. And there's other programs associated with that we're working on, as I talked earlier about a pipeline that we're going to working on a pipeline to possibly deliver water to the Grupo Community Service District. We talked about this recycle water project. We're talking about the idea of using the groundwater basin as a storage facility for other entities that would also benefit us. And also cooperative agreements with adjacent agencies so that we could look at the basin as one and not just independent. It is our responsibility, right? Like we said earlier, we also worry about electricity. We need electricity to move water. And at Cucamonga Valley Water District, we are always working on the advocacy to make sure that if it's going to come through reliables, or if we're going to help Southern California Edison produce more electricity. Because as the cost of electricity goes up, so does the cost of water, because that's a fixed cost that we have no control. We really need to have a very mature discussion as to where we're going to go in our state on the utilities. If we're all going to go to electric, where are we going to get the electricity from? 20 years from now, are we going to have enough electricity to move water, to power our cars, to light our homes, and our hospitals, and everything else? Because I kid you not, that we can't all own generators.
Right.
We can't all be ready with our generators. We've got to make sure that utility is reliable, water is reliable, and gas. Otherwise, major corporations will not anchor here.
I completely agree. And so going back to your regional recycle project, please expand on what it is you mean when you talk about taking that quality of water to the next level. And can you maybe expand on the technology behind doing that?
Yeah, I'm glad we're touching on that again, because it also connects to electricity.
Exactly.
Right? You've got the way the recycled water works on normal recycled water, traditional recycled water, is called a tertiary process, which means just 3 levels. But the higher quality water has to go to a 4th level. That requires that we push that water coming out of the 3rd level through a series of membranes that extract the finer particles, the nanoparticles out of that water. And the way we push that water through that membrane, like a filter, so to speak, is through power, injecting that water, pushing that water through. And you need energy for that. You need electricity for that. So just like the Metropolitan Water District plant, just like the plant in Orange County, and there's a series of other plants throughout Southern California on a smaller scale, we're going to need electricity to do that. And so once you can push that water through that membrane, you have water supply that theoretically you could put back into use. It's going to require a permit process, but by due time, we should work on that. I'm pretty confident we'll secure that. This has been done in other parts of the world, in other parts of our country. In Denver, Colorado, it's done as well. In other parts of the world, it's done where you treat water and you recycle it and you reintroduce it into the system. But it's done at a high amount of electricity costs. And so we need electricity, and we're going to be able to do this. We have to do this the right way, because we can't just rely on the state's decisions to build projects that are long overdue. We're doing everything possible to conserve, but at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to conserve our way out of these problems. Southern Californians, and kudos to them, because 20 years ago, they would use over 300 gallons per capita. Today, they're at 160, 170, based upon where they live close to the coastline. Why? We have changed our habits. it was a moment in time where kids used to, when I was a kid, I used to brush my teeth in the faucet with them. My kids don't do that anymore. Our faucets are low flush faucets, the toilets, the shower heads, our dishwashers, our clothes washers. All of these things we've managed to introduce into our homes, our lawns and the landscaping, right? Even our habits, the way we look at water. We've addressed all the low-hanging fruit.
Yes. And when we come back from the break, we will be talking more things water and some surprising things that I learned that come from our region right here. So everyone listening, stay tuned. We'll be right back. City of Hope is driven to making a difference in the lives of people with cancer and diabetes. We accomplish this by conducting innovative research and providing outstanding care. If you or a loved one has received a cancer diagnosis, go to cityofhope.org to learn more about how our innovative approach could change your outcome.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs a blood transfusion. Be on the giving side. Livestream Blood Bank supports patients in 80 Southern California hospitals. Call 1-800-TRY-GIVING for more information and to set an appointment.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Being sued and don't know who to turn to? The insurance company won't defend you and your family in a lawsuit? Stress no more. Call the Walker Law Group. We are the law on your side. Just call 909-989-3200. 909-989-3200.
Ontario International Airport is onto a better way to fly with over 65 daily non-stop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
Thank you all for sticking around. We just got back from a break. I am here with Luis Cethina of Cucamonga Valley Water District. He is the vice president and he is filling us in on all things water. Thank you again for being with us, Luis.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Wonderful. So let's talk about the Aqua 9 region perspective, its goals, and its mission. I know this is a big one, so please feel free to share as much as you can, and I'm going to have lots of questions about this one.
Well, the Aqua Region 9 Board is part of a state organization called the Association of California Water Agencies, and that association's mission is to address the water needs of all of Californians in concert with the legislator. And so Aqua has decided to break down the state into 10 different regions. Here in San Bernardino, along with Riverside and Imperial, we are part of Region 9. And I have the pleasure of serving on that board, elected by my peers in the water industry amongst those 3 counties. And there are 6 other representatives who join us on that board as well. And so what does Aqua Board Region 9 do? Our focus is to advocate for all the people in those regions on their water supply issues. We talked earlier, without reliable water or electricity and gas, and using water as this example, you're not going to have a thriving economy and quality of life that we wish to have. Nobody wants to not be told that they can't cook at a certain time and the water's going to get turned off at a certain time, just like nobody likes the power to be turned off under certain conditions. And so Aqua Region 9, representing those 3 counties, has a very interesting responsibility because some of those counties we call them arid, and the other ones are called semi-arid, right? But all those 3 counties relied heavily on imported water. And so this Region 9 has a responsibility of trying to secure and advance objectives to bring in water from the Colorado River for the Imperial and portions of Riverside County, and here in San Bernardino, primarily for the state, water from the Delta. And so our job is to advance projects with all three regions. And a lot of times we're looking to see if we can advance projects from a collective perspective, like the conveyance facility in the north, reservoirs in the north that bring water to us. We also work on efforts to promote conservation. You know, I earlier said that we're not going to conserve our way out of this problem in California. We need to have imported water supply. We will not get off imported water supply because we talked about recycled water. Well, a certain percentage of recycled water has its origins in imported water supply. And so if you shut off the imported water supply, you're going to diminish the amount of recycled water over time. And so we talk about conservation. We advance conservation collectively. We advance advocacy on legislative matters from a quality perspective, from a cost perspective. And why do we do this? Because we realize and we know that, like we talked about quality of life, housing's critical. But try building a house without a water connection.
Right.
You won't be able to do it. You need water to build a home, not only from a construction perspective, but for the rationale to say, I need a home here, to have a hookup. And not only the water to consume in that house, but also the sewage treatment that goes along with it, right? It's all connected. It's basically the foundation of any economy. If you don't have water supply and reliable water supply, throughout civilization, where have major metropolises and cities been established along a river or an ocean, primarily freshwater rivers that feed into an ocean. And so Aqua Region 9 has that responsibility. And I'll tell you this much, one of the biggest concerns that we have is the fact that over the course of the last 10 years, on the state level, we have lost, or we have not received, so to speak, 50% of the water that we have been promised. So let me put it to you in this example. Let's say the state of California promises me to give me 100 buckets of water per year. Over the course of the last 10 years, they should have given me, over 10 years, 1,000 buckets. Over the last 10 years, they've only given us about 500 buckets. So where did the remaining amount of water go? We haven't been able to receive it. Rainfall is a problem. Snowpack is a problem. But also the way they manage the system is a problem. And this is why I've referred to a number of times reservoir storages in Northern California. What happens in Northern California will impact us here. And even though we can't see it, we have to be cognizant about it and advocate for it. And we've all heard about the conveyance facility, which started back in the 80s in the Peripheral Canal. And now we're talking about it from a single tunnel. That thing needs to get built. If that doesn't get built, the whole entire landscape of Southern California will be changing. And so that's what Aqua Region 9 is focused on doing, not only talking about water, talking about power. We cannot allow to continue having PSPSs, public service power shutoffs. And so I'm pleased to see that Southern California Edison is doing all they can to upgrade its grid so that we don't have to experience these PSPSs because we need to have that reliable utility here.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And it would be interesting to see if there would be any way to integrate any technology to take advantage of hydroelectric power, given the fact that, you are moving water from great distances in tremendous pipelines. Is that something that's being worked on or even, considered? Or I'm just curious.
No, that's great. I'm glad you asked that question because there are smaller scale hydroelectric power plants in the service area, but that's primarily used to slow down the rate of water flowing in a pipe. And they take advantage of it. In fact, we have a small hydroelectric power plant at our water system. But over the course of, and you do have it at large reservoirs. The Metropolitan Water District has it at Diamond Valley Lake. We do have it up in the north at Orville Reservoir. And we have it at Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam out there by Lake Mead is critical to Southern California. And right now it's a big concern because the water level at Hoover Dam has diminished. And if the water level at Hoover Dam diminishes so far down, you won't be able to produce electricity. We're a couple of years away from that, but the situation that we're talking about did happen at Lake Orville. prior to the storms that we had a month ago, the power generation at Lake Orwell was turned off because of the elevation of water. But unfortunately, Yvette, and I'm glad you asked that question, moving forward, there are some people who feel that generating power from rivers is something that we shouldn't consider any further because of its harm to the environment. If it's done right, you can avoid such. But to use the example of hydroelectric power plants that were built 60, 70 years ago to justify not considering it today isn't fair. And so we've got to reevaluate, reconsider. For crying out loud, we've got people who talking to us about we would never have an electric car, and we've got electric cars, right?
I think technology has advanced in 60 years, right? Yeah. Especially when you can hold everything that you need in the palm of your hand. I think we're there. I think we can come up with solutions that make sense, that are thoughtful and protective of the environment, while also generating, energy that we so much need, and as well, very, very clean water. So going back to the 50% gap that we have, so to speak, how does that work moving forward? Does it move forward? Do we lose out on that 50% water? What happens to that? How is that reconciled? And can you also expand on, in addition, obviously, to drought conditions, what are other conditions that have prevented that 50% from making it to us?
I'm glad you're giving me that opportunity to share that. That lack of water that we would rely on over years, right, has forced us to look outside the box. Go outside the box. And let's be frank, every time you go outside the conventional box of wisdom, you're going to have to incur an additional cost. And in Southern California, we've addressed all the low-hanging fruit, if we could use that term, which means all the expendable projects that are cost-effective projects. Now we have to go to the next level. What is the next level? This high-quality recycled water, right? Higher quality, efficient appliances that we're all going to have to pay for. Why is that 50% missing? It's missing for a couple of reasons, right? We know that climate is changing, but at the same time, if climate is changing and it's adapting, right, then our thought process should adapt with it. And so if you really believe that climate is adapting and changing, then you should really expedite the effort to build storage. There have been reservoirs on the books in the state of California for 60 years that have never been realized. And, wow. And I go back to this conveyance facility, right? If you really believe that things are changing, then why not implement the brick and mortar options? Because not all brick and mortar options are bad. We talked about science advancing and technology advancing. To compare a technology of 60, 70 years ago to what we have today isn't fair at all. It's blindsided. So we have technology today from an engineering perspective, and we've been wanting to build a conveyance facility to take water further north of the Sacramento Delta. I have been to the Sacramento Delta numerous times, and for those who are watching us, the Sacramento Delta is a beautiful sense of place, and we should protect it. But there are options to protect not only the Delta, but help the fish population in the Delta, because the fish population is an indicator species, so to speak, that turns on and turns off the pumps that bring water to Southern California. So if you're able to do things to help the fish, you'll bring back the population of the fish, then the biologists won't be asking us to turn off the pumps. And so in the interim, like I mentioned earlier, in the interim, we have no other alternative but to be responsible policymakers to ensure that we have reliable, high-quality water here and create supplies through conservation, through recycling, through implementation of various apparatuses in your homes to save water, through collective agreements, and that areas that may have more groundwater versus others that don't, we share it in accords, and we share the responsibility of treatment and so forth and so on. These are some of the things, and we talked about the water bank, exploring what resources we have here. We're very fortunate here in this region of San Bernardino County that we have water coming out of the mountains, right? So one of the things that we want to do is we also want to explore the possibilities of capturing more water from the mountains, pristine water from the mountains. so that we can balance this portfolio. We're very fortunate in this part of the county to have water sources from the mountains, from 2 groundwater basins, from the state, and from the Colorado River, and recycled. When you have that many options, you're able to better manage the system and provide greater service. And what is that? Lower cost at a higher quality. But not everybody has that blessing. Not all agencies in the county of San Bernardino that don't find themselves in this part of the county have all those options at their disposal.
Right.
So we really have to look at this from a collective perspective, right? And so in the interim, while we advocate, and we want everybody to advocate to build those storage facilities and that conveyance facility, we're going to have to try to do everything possible and work with us collectively. So reconsider some of the landscaping, reconsider some of your habits, and be very supportive of our efforts to advocate for more storage and conveyance.
So tell us how we can advocate for this program. It sounds like something obviously that is critical. We need it. We need to step into the 21st century. And what do we as a region, as a community, as people that enjoy water every day and need it, what can we do to help support this effort?
Okay, I appreciate that. There's a couple of ways, right? One, get in contact with your local water purveyor. Here at the Cucamonga Valley Water District, we have an article that we send out to our ratepayers called The Pipeline. But we keep them informed on issues, not only things that are going on in the water district programs, but also advocacy from a state level. Get involved with get familiarized with your local water purveyor. 2, get in contact with your local elected official. Let he, her, or him know of the importance of water and how you can help better advocate on a local level. That's on the local level. Also, get in contact with your state assembly member, state senator, and your congressional member, and let them know that you need to make sure that we have more storage in California and more reliable conveyance of water supply in California. And so that's critical, because once those elected officials hear the voice of the people and that their urgency of water, they've had so many issues that they need to address.
Right.
So many issues they need to address. And it's not that they're ignoring it. It's that they're working hard on a myriad of issues.
Right.
And so you're going to help them. You're going to remind them of the importance of water and utility, electricity as well, because we have to think about electricity as well, because I can't give you water if there's no power to move it. And we can't bring water from Northern California or from the Colorado River if there isn't power to move it here, right? And then to treat it. I need power to move water, to treat water, right? And to recycle water.
Right.
And to pump water from the ground or put it in the ground. And so all of those elements are important. They go hand in hand. So, and the other thing that ratepayers can do, or customers or people who are watching us, visit a website called bewaterwise.com. That website is put together by the Southern California Friendly Water Agencies, sponsored by the Metropolitan Water District, which we are part of. And all your member agencies will have websites similar to that, and they should have a link to that website. Why? There are water saving tips, advocacy efforts, and even rebates that you can look at. We've got to do things on a local level. We've got to do things on a regional level. And we also have to do things on a state and federal level. And so we've got to get active and get engaged, because if we wait until tomorrow, all of these projects take a minimum of 10 to 15 years to realize. And if you wait until tomorrow, you're going to have to wait another 10 to 15 years. Now's the time to get engaged, because California won't look the same and it won't be the same if we wait until tomorrow. And I go right back, and I've said it a number of times, and it's very true, because we've all heard about businesses leaving our state.
Right.
And to prevent that, those that are dependent upon power and water, we want to stop that. And if we can assure them that there's reliable utility, they'll stay. And I'm going to do everything I can in this part of the county to do my part, along with my colleagues, to raise awareness to that issue, because I realize I've seen what's happening in California over the course of the last 30 years. We have been kicking the can on these major issues, and enough is enough, because we are impacting lives. We're not only impacting lives by jobs that are leaving, we're impacting lives by what's happening in the home when those jobs leave. And that's a myriad of issues that are happening and cascading in our communities.
Absolutely. It definitely has a domino effect. So I agree with you. And thank you for identifying the fact that we all need to be squeaky wheels, right? The squeaky wheels get greased. So everybody listening, get to squeaking, contact your local representatives, your state representatives, everyone who has a part of making sure that we can move this project forward and provide pristine, beautiful, next level recycled water to our region. I know there are certain things that were surprising and to a lot of our listeners. So can you talk about some of the water products that are coming from our region? I know Evolution Fresh was something that we touched on, but then also Arrowhead Mountain Spring Water. Are there other products that come from our region that you can point to that we can be proud of and hold up as an example of, something that is amazing coming out of our region?
All right. Well, you mentioned Evolution Fresh, and let me boast about Evolution Fresh first and foremost. Right. Evolution Fresh is a company that anchored here in Rancho Cucamonga, and we're very proud of that. Why? First and foremost, they provide a fantastic product, fruit juices, and no matter what kind of fruit you use, if you don't have a high quality base, which is water, right, it isn't going to have an equal taste. And Evolution Fresh is a fantastic product. But more importantly than that, from an economic perspective, it creates 230 jobs. There are 230 jobs here in Rancho Cucamonga, and I like to pride myself, along with my colleagues, right, that Evolution Fresh picked Rancho Cucamonga, the Cucamonga Valley Water District, because of its reliable water supply. Because we have done our due diligence, right, in building infrastructure that we can promise them and let them know that when you need water, we're going to give you high quality water when you need it. Because they made a major investment to come in here.
Right.
And that major investment is paying off for them. And it's not only paying off for them, it's paying off for all those employees who work there, because they're able to take that money that they earn, hard-earned money, take it back home and feed their families and raise their families, or raise their kids the way they choose. And so that's a win-win, and we want more of those. Another one is, I happen to have one right here, and this is Arrowhead Water. And if you drink Arrowhead Water, you're drinking pristine water that originated here in the mountains of Rancho Cucamonga, Upland, and the Fontana region. Take pride in that, because that's real spring water. And we're very happy to have a partnership with them. And they're very responsible in how they produce a product. And they're good stewards of the environment. And so when you go out and you drink bottled water, Arrowhead Water is the water of choice. Now, I want to make sure, full disclaimer, the water that you drink out of your tap, we fully tell you that water is perfectly fine to drink. It's just a choice. People have a choice to drink bottled water, and people have a choice to drink tap water. I happen to drink tap water, and once in a while I'll drink Arrowhead Water as well. But these are some of the products, right, that we're very proud of that have come out at Rancho Cucamonga. You have major corporations in Rancho Cucamonga like Frito-Lay, and you bet that there's water in their processing, right? And so we're very proud of that because they've picked us in this community. And so those are some of the success stories that we want to repeat in the next 20 years. And we want to be able to do that, but I have to repeat this once again, and I've done it a couple of times, because you've got to say it 3-4 times. We're not going to be able to continue doing this if we do not have reliable water, gas, and electric. And these are regional issues that we need to address and take them to the state as well. And so I thank you for that opportunity to showcase some of the products that we have in our community.
Absolutely. And you are absolutely going to be invited multiple times, because we need regular updates, right? Water is an issue that Californians are very, very aware of and concerned about, and want to learn as much about as possible. So with that said, let's talk about some projects that are on the horizon briefly, because we are coming to a close, but briefly talk about some of those projects that you're excited about as well.
I am very excited about I'm excited about all the projects around here, right? Because like I said before, they create employment, they create economy, and they create quality of life. But one of the key projects that I am very excited about is the Etawada Pipeline. I call it the Northern Etawada Pipeline, and it's a pipeline, a 10-mile pipeline. It's being conceptualized right now to connect the community of Jurupa Community Service District to us, to be able to treat water at our Lord Michael treatment plant, which is a state-of-the-art treatment plant. That treatment plant will meet all the requirements of state and federal requirements on drinking water. And we have an agreement that we're working on with Jurupa because there are moments in time, as we're experiencing now, that we may not get a lot of water from the state, and we will have access to some of their groundwater basins, their wells that they have in Jurupa, and we'll have an exchange agreement. But as we conceptualize this pipeline, we will be able to deliver them treated water from our plant for them. Why is that an issue? There are a series of contaminants on a state level that have been recently discovered, and we want to make sure that we can overcome those contaminant issues so that we can treat everybody in Southern California with high quality water.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that amazing update, for sharing the status of those projects and the future of our water delivery and infrastructure in our region. Thank you for that, Luis. So for everyone listening now, look for us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Check us out on scbrtalk.com, and don't forget to download the free live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. Find us on YouTube and watch our interview with Samantha Smith, the new owner and publisher of Inland Empire Magazine. For the last 45 years, Inland Empire Magazine has established itself as the premier lifestyle publication in the Inland Empire region. Prior to becoming the owner, Samantha joined the magazine in 2016 and served as the senior advertising manager. Samantha began her advertising and marketing career with the Press Enterprise newspaper as a local advertising representative, and she quickly worked her way up through the ranks to become a majors and nationals advertising account manager, working with companies like Best Buy, Lowe's, T-Mobile, and Amazon. During the Press Enterprise and Orange County Register newspaper merger of 2013, Samantha was recruited to the OC Register Nationals team. In 2014, she was promoted to Retail Advertising Manager, where she led the Press Enterprise's advertising staff. Next week, we will have Dr. Yuman Fong. Dr. Fong is the San Giacomo Family Chair in Surgical Oncology at City of Hope, a world-renowned cancer research and treatment organization in Los Angeles County. The National Academy of Medicine recently invited Dr. Fong to become one of its members. This is one of the highest honors in health and in medicine today. They honored Dr. Fong for transforming the fields of liver surgery, robotics in surgery, imaging and display in medicine, and gene therapy. His contributions as a surgeon, engineer, innovator, and mentor have yielded patents and first-in-human trials that translated scientific discoveries to medicines and medical devices. Don't miss it, everyone. See you next week.